Hi, I'm Professor Ritchey, and in this video, we're going to explore the last component of non-material culture, and that will be sanctions. How do we make certain that others are behaving the way that we expect? How do we know that they are going to follow the norms and roles associated with our societies? Sociologists talk about sanctions. Sanctions are our rewards and punishments for conforming or not conforming to the norms and roles of our society. Peter Berger calls these social control mechanisms, and he identified 6 social control mechanisms that we can observe in societies. The first social control mechanism identified by Berger is physical violence. And this can be as simple as spanking a child and as complex as executing criminals. The second social control mechanism identified by Berger is the threat of violence. My grandmother used to like to use this social control mechanisms when my brother and I were fighting. Eventually, she would say, "Where is my stick?" And we knew then that we were in a little bit more trouble, and we would stop misbehaving. She never had to use her stick, so it just remained a threat of that violence. The third social control mechanism is economic sanctions, and this could be as simple as a fine for misbehaving, and it could also be the result of oppressing people and not providing them with opportunities to succeed economically. The fourth social control mechanism is restriction of movement, and this can be as simple as a timeout, like in a hockey game and the penalty box, and more complex, such as imprisonment. The fifth social control mechanism identified by Berger is ostracism, and this is when we exclude people from societies or groups, and this is denying the human social need for belonging. The sixth social control mechanism identified by Berger is ridicule, gossiping, bullying, joking, and teasing. I find it interesting that Berger only identified the negative social sanctions that are available within society and tended to ignore the positive sanctions, the rewarding for good behavior. And we can infer these positive sanctions by looking at the opposite of what Berger suggested. So for physical violence, we could have physical intimacy, such as hugs. The threat of physical violence, we could support people. Economic restrictions, and we could provide economic opportunities. Restricting movement, it would be freedom of movement in terms of location, job, marital partners. Ostracism, we change that around to wanting to belong and be accepted. And the ridicule and gossip, we could turn into praise, social esteem, public recognition, rewards, and so on. Social psychologists recognize the sense of belonging as a social need of humans, as important as our physical needs. How do we know when other people like us and appreciate us? How can we use positive sanctions to show our appreciation of others and that they belong? Dr. Gary Chapman developed a simple typology that we can use to give us ideas on how to show our appreciation for others. He refers to his typology as the 5 love languages. And if you're interested in finding out more about your love language, although you might already know it, but if you're interested in discovering your love language, pause this video and take a look at his website at the5lovelanguages.com and take your 5 languages and find out your love language. The first love language that Dr. Chapman identified was called words of affirmation. And this is when we can provide other people with unsolicited positive comments, that we're avoiding our insults and criticisms of other people. The second love language is acts of services, and this is where we can ease the burdens of others. We can avoid our laziness. We can remember our promises and try not to make more work for others. The third love language is receiving gifts, and this is our effort, our thoughtful effort on selecting gifts that are appropriate and thoughtful. Might be unexpected gifts, and we need to avoid ignoring special occasions like birthdays and anniversaries. The fourth love language is quality time. Here we want to provide people with our undivided attention. We want to avoid distraction. We don't want to postpone meetings. And we want to make certain that that individual isn't feeling isolated. The last love language identified by Dr. Chapman is physical touch. And this is thoughtful touching that is showing our concern and support. We are physically present, and we're avoiding physical abuse and threats. How do you like to feel appreciated at home and by your family and friends? And how is this similar or different about how you like to be appreciated by your colleagues or your boss? What other categories would you add to Chapman's typology? And how will you use this information in your interactions with others? Okay, well, this sums up our series on the components of our non-material culture. And in the upcoming videos, we're going to look more specifically at differences within cultural patterns on a number of issues. Okay, I'll see you soon.